what the heck that means. Zero product property. Definitely going to be a zero somewhere. Yeah, so it means if I have two things multiplied together and they equal zero, what does that mean about one of these two things? One of them has to be zero. Okay, that's what the zero product property means. And that goes for just plain old numbers, goes for variables, and it goes for factors. So that's what we're moving into. So we're going to look at this right here. It says how we got to figure out how to determine x-intercepts of a quadratic function. We started doing this yesterday. X-intercepts. What does an x-intercept have to do with zero, with the zero product property? Yes, the x-intercept is where the graph passes through the x-axis. What does y equal on the x-intercept or on the x-axis? Zero, okay? So y equals 0 on our x-intercept, all right? Do you guys remember what I told you to do with this, like f of x yesterday? Just turn it into a y, okay? Ooh, that was a weird y. Because they have taught function notation and I haven't taught function notation yet. Because I didn't plan very well. Okay, so this top equation is now going to just be y equals x minus 3 times x plus 9. But I'm trying to figure out what my x-intercepts are. That means that I need to figure out what is x when y is 0. So my first step is going to be replacing this y, replacing the f of x even, with just a 0. So now I have 0 equals x minus 3 times x plus 9. Yeah. But as we just said, if I have two things that are multiplied together that equal 0, one of these things has to be 0. So that means if x minus 3 times x plus 9 equals 0, then either x minus 3 has to be 0 or x plus 9 has to be 0. So let's figure out both of those situations. So if x minus 3 equals 0, what does x equal? Yeah, 3, positive 3. You two cut it out. And if x plus 9 equals 0, what does x have to be? X has to be negative 9, okay? Yeah, stop it. Okay, the thing with x-intercepts is that it's a point on the graph. How do we usually, like, describe a point on the graph? Remember this? What are these called?
Coordinates.
Coordinates, exactly. An x and a y coordinate. So these are my x coordinates of the points. I have two different points. I have this one 3 and this one is negative 9. What are the y coordinates of my x-intercept? So 0. Exactly. So 3, 0, negative 9, 0. That's how I find the x-intercepts of a quadratic function. And my answer should be ordered pairs coordinates. All right? This is what we learned yesterday. Okay? Okay, now let's look at this one. So this is a really similar process. It's just slightly different what it's asking for. Because does this say anything about x-intercepts in the second question? No. Sure. It just says how we just need to solve. We need to come up with a solution to a quadratic equation. And this one, it kind of like takes care of our first two steps for us, where we like subbed in the 0 for y or 0 for f of x. This one already has 0 there. So I have x squared plus 12x plus 20 equals 0. All right? I need to figure out when it's asking for a solution, my answer needs to be x equals something. I need to figure out what does x need to equal for this equation to be true. What form does this start out in? Standard form. What do I need to do first before I can solve it? Yeah, we got to factor it. I got to put this into factored form. So that means I need to come up with my two binomials that'll multiply together to give me back to this. So what is my first times first going to be?
X.
X and X. Perfect. How do I determine what goes here and here?
Last number.
Yeah, I got to look at that last number. What are my factors of this last number? Perfect.
It's going to be 2 and 10.
Oops, I put 2 and 20. 2 and 10. Yeah.
It has to be 2 and 10.
Why? Why does it have to be 2 and 10?
Because that's equals 4.
Perfect, right? A positive 2 and a positive 10 is going to get me to that middle number 12. So my factors then become x plus 2 and x plus 10. Now, that's where we've stopped before, but now we got to keep going because we need to figure out the solutions. What values of x would make this true? So again, yeah, I got to make sure that x plus 2 could equal 0 and also x plus 10 could equal 0. So if x plus 2 equals 0, what does x have to be? Negative 2. Negative 2, right? If I subtract 2, x equals negative 2. And if x plus 10 is 0, what does x have to be? Negative 10. Negative 10. So x equals negative 10. And that's our answer for this one. You could just even circle this, right? X minus 2 and x plus 10, or x equals negative 10. X equals negative 2, x equals negative 10. Those are my answers. Okay? So take like 90 seconds to answer this. What is similar? What is different between this and this? Between this first problem we did and this second problem we did. And then jot down something that you want to remember from what I just went over. Take 60 more seconds to do that. What do we need to find in the first one? What does it say? Determine the x-intercepts. What does y equal at my x-intercepts?
0.
Y equals 0. So what do I need to replace this h of x with? Y, but what is y? So I'm just going to replace it with 0. So 0 equals x minus 1 times x plus 6. I have two things that multiply together to equal 0. So what does that mean about these things? Yeah, this has to equal 0?
No.
Or this one has to equal 0.
Oh.
So if x minus 1 equals 0, what does x equal?
1.
Yeah, x equals 1. And if x plus 6 equals 0, what does x equal?
-6.
Perfect. And x equals -6. But this is asking me for my x-intercepts. How do I write an x-intercept? What does my answer need to look like? Huh? Yeah, coordinates, right? And there's 2 of them. What's my first one?
1.
Good. And what's the y coordinate of it?
0.
Yeah, good. So 1, 0.
6.
And what?
6.
-6.
My bad.
And 0. Okay? That's not so bad, right? Let's look at 1.2. Still trying to find the x-intercepts. What do I replace k of x with?
0.
0. So 0 equals x squared minus 6x minus 40. What form is this in? Standard. So what do I need to do? I need to factor it. So if I factor this, that means I'm coming up with 2 binomials that would multiply together to get me this. What's my first times first going to be? X and X. What's my last times last need to equal? 40. Yeah, what are my factors of 40?
140.
140, 220, 410, 580.
Which of those ones are going to get me to 6? Good, 4 and 10. How do I get to negative 6 from 4 and 10? Perfect. Positive 4, negative 10. So those are my factors then. X plus 4, X minus 10. Does that mean X equals 4 and X equals negative 10? No. Remember, we got to change the sign. Right? So for X plus, yeah. So this one, if X plus 4 equals 0, then X equals negative 4. And this one, if X minus 10 equals 0, X is positive 10. So then what are my X-intercepts? Negative 4, 0, and
Positive 10, 0.
perfect. That's it. Cool? I'm glad you think so.
I'll probably start crying.
Don't.
Let your help.
We can cry together.
I mean, crying is okay. Feels good to cry sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. No, in the bright sunlight in front of everybody, so everybody can see you cry.
I don't like crying in front of people. My face gets all like red and blotchy.
Like everybody cries, but it's so hard to deal with somebody crying. Like you know how it feels when they're crying, but you don't know how like.
I just always give a hug.
I kind of know. I know more about social media.
Okay, how about 2.1? What am I trying to find X-intercepts in 2.1? What am I trying to find? Solutions. So that means my answer is just going to look like X equals something, X equals something else. In 2.1, what do I start with? Standard form or factored form?
Standard. Factor.
Factored. Right? Parentheses. Huh? Because we don't have to. I don't want to right now. I think it would just make things more confusing right now. Throwing a lot of information. Okay, so I gotta figure out the solutions. That means I need to figure out what values of X would make this equation true. No, we don't have to FOIL it. We have two things multiplied together that equals 0. That means that either this part here has to equal 0, 5x minus 3 equals 0, or 2x plus 3 equals 0. You think it's just 3 and negative 3? No, it's not. It's not. It's not. How do I solve for x here? 5x minus 3 equals 0. Plus what?
Plus 2.
Plus what?
3.
Plus 3.
Shit.
My 3's cancel out, so 5x equals 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. Now what do I do to solve for x? How do I get the x all by itself?
Cancel the 5.
How do I get rid of that 5? No, not subtract. What do you do to get rid of that 5? Divide. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. My 5's cancel out. What does x equal?
3.
What? 3/5.
How did you get the 5?
5x minus 3. No. 2x plus 3 equals 0. What does x need to equal? How do I figure it out? No. No. What do I do to figure it out? How do I solve for x? Minus 3. Minus 3. 3's cancel out. 2x equals negative 3. Now what do I do to solve for x?
2x over 2.
Divide. Divide by what?
2.
Come on, y'all. 2's cancel out. What does x equal?
3/2.
Negative 3/2. Yes. Okay.
Why are you fall?
I did too.
You said I'm sorry.
All right. Same kind of idea. Got to find the solutions. Is this in standard form?
No. Yes.
Yes.
It's close to standard form, but what's different about this? You're right, there's no parentheses. There's no 0. This side doesn't equal 0. How could I make this side 0? How do I make 21 0? Negative 21. So my first step here is to subtract 21 from both sides. Does that mean I take 2 minus 21? No, those aren't like terms. So I have 2x squared minus x minus 21 equals 0. Oh my God. Well, and now this is in standard form, right? So what's my next step got to be? Factor. What's definitely going to be a part of my first times first? X and x. And now I got to look at this first number. And what's my first number?
2.
What are my factors of 2? 1 times 2. I'm going to use this as my little t-chart over here. So 2 times 1 will give me 2. And what does my last times last need to equal? 21. And what else?
7 and 3.
3 times 7. Okay. Which one should I try?
3 times.
3 and 7.
Should I do 3 and 7 or 7 and 3?
7 is.
Okay. So now we try outers. What's 2 times 7?
14.
And my inners would be 1 times 3 is? Can I use 14 and 3 to get to negative 1?
Yeah.
What?
No.
No. Ah!
Flip it.
Let's flip it. Sorry. 3 and 7. What's 2 times 3? And what's 1 times 7?
7.
Can I use 6 and 7 to get to negative 1?
Yes.
How? 6 minus 7. Positive 6 minus 7. Does that mean I just put plus 6 minus 7? No, not for these kind. Remember, my numbers come from that T-chart. So 2 and 1. 2 and 1 go in my first times first. And then I want 2 and 3 to be my outers. So I'm going to put my 3 here. And I want that to be negative 6, 2 times, or positive 6, I'm sorry. 2 times 3 needs to give me positive 6. So that needs to be a plus 3. And then 1 times 7 are my inners, but I need that to be a negative 7. So I'm going to do 2x minus 7. Is that it? Am I done?
Yes.
No. Oh. So remember, we're trying to find the solutions. What values of x would make this equation true? No, not 0. So this part, 2x minus 7, could equal 0. And also, this part over here, 1x plus 3, could equal 0. How else can I write 1x. Yeah, so x plus 3 could equal 0. Okay, this one's easy. X plus 3 equals 0. So what does x have to equal?
0.
-3. If 2x minus 7 equals 0, what do I do to find out what x is? How do I solve for x? How do I solve for x? Huh? No. 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 What's left? Add. I didn't hear you say that. I didn't hear you until just now. So I add 7. So 2x equals 7. And then what do I do? Divide by 2, divide by 2. So x would equal 7 over 2, or x equals that -3. Right? We have 2 more problems to do together, and then you'll have the rest of class to get your assignment done.
Okay.
Yes, your assignment. Let's move to the next page. Next page. This one that has the quadratic. So I guess, no, it's the next page. Yeah. With the squares and the rectangles on it. Quadratic squares and rectangles. Yeah, that was the next page. Not this page.
The one with the shades?
Yeah. Okay. So you have problems just like this on your test on Thursday, just like this. The length of a rectangle is 3 more than the width. If the area is 40 square inches, what are the dimensions? I always start with a picture because I'm just a visual person and I like to be able to see things in order to understand it. So I have my little rectangle. The length of my rectangle is 3 more than the width. 3 more than the width. So the length is 3 more than the width. What does that mean, 3 more than the width? That would be 3 times the width. What's 3 more than the width? Yes. 3 plus W. Does it say anything else about the width?
No.
It's not just a random number, no. It could be. And actually, so yeah, that is it. And that's fine. If you can do that, then that's fine. But I'm going to show you how to use like a quadratic to solve it too. So width would be just W. Okay? My area is 40. Because he looked at 40 and he thought of the 2 numbers that multiply together to get to 40 that are also 3 numbers apart. And do you see how that's related to what we were doing? We look at the last number. We think about factors of that last number and which factors are going to add to get to the middle number. That's exactly what you just did. Okay? I'm just giving you like a language to do that, so it's not just like numbers rolling around in your head, which is also fine. But this also can help when it's more complicated situations. Okay, so my area is 40. What is area? How do I find area of a rectangle? Length times width, right? So I'm just going to multiply these 2 sides together, W times 3 plus W, and I know that that equals 40. What do I usually do when I have like a variable out in front of parentheses like this? Distribute. So I do W times 3 and then W times W. What's W times 3? 3W. What's W times W? So 3W plus W squared equals 40. This is sort of like a quadratic. I'm getting close, but doesn't a quadratic have to equal 0 in order for me to solve it? So minus 40. Minus 40, minus 40. So, and I'm just going to rearrange this so my squared comes first. So I've got W squared plus 3W minus 40 equals 0. Is that standard form or factored form? Standard. So I'm going to change that to factored form. Factored form. What does my first times first equal? W times W. What number do I need to look at to determine the other two numbers? The last one. So 40. What are my factors of 40? Which one is going to get me to 3? 5 and 8. How do I get to 3 from 5 and 8? Which one? Yeah, so positive 5 minus 8. So my factors then are W plus 8, W minus 5, right? And if those two things are going to multiply together to get to 0, then that means either W plus 8 equals 0 or W minus 5 equals 0. If W plus 8 equals 0, what would W have to be? Negative 8. And if W minus 5 equals 0, what would W have to be? Positive 5. Can I have a negative width? No, we can't have a negative width. Can't have a negative width. So that means W must be 5. W must be 5. This one wouldn't work. So then if W is 5, my width is 5, and my length is 3 more than the width, then the length, has to be 8. All right? Let's do number 2. Same idea, except I'm going to change the numbers on number 2. So for number 2, we're going to make this 6 meters. The flower bed is 6 meters longer than it is wide, and the total area is going to be 27. So 27 square meters are needed for the plants in the bed. What should the dimensions of the rectangle be? So I've got my rectangle, right? And what should the length be? How should I write the length? L equals 6 meters longer than it is wide. I'm just waiting for the length. Huh? Yeah, W plus 6 or 6 plus W, either way. And then what's my width going to be? Just W. Okay? And my total area is 27. Same exact thing. I multiply length times my width. W times 6 plus W equals 27. I distribute. W times 6 gives me. W times W gives me. Good. Equals 27. What did I do next in that last one? Yeah, subtract what? Yeah, subtract 27 from both sides. And I'm just going to rearrange this left side. So it's W squared plus 6W minus 27 equals what? 0. So now that I have a quadratic equal to 0, that means I can solve it. I'm starting in standard form. I got to change this to factored form. What's my first times first going to be? W and W. And then what number do I need to look at to determine what goes here and here? Yeah, what are my factors of 27? 3 and 9, 1 and 27. Which one is going to get me to 6? 3 and 9. How do I get to 6 from 3 and 9? Positive 9 minus 3, right? So my factors are W plus 9, W minus 3. So what does W have to equal? Good. W would have to equal -9 or +3. Can I have a negative width? No. So this -9 kind of just goes away. And now I know my width is 3, and then my length is 6 more than the width. So what's my length? 9. Good. Okay. So when I ask for dimensions like this, dimensions, I'm looking for width and length. Width and length. Okay? All right, you guys have 18 minutes now to work on your assignment. Your assignment is number 3, number 22, number 23. This one's a bonus one. If you want to do it, you'll get extra credit points on it. And then as well, you have, I'm not going to put it up on here. So you have those 3 to do on here, and then this whole back page on your packet. The whole back page.
Do today?
I'd like it done today, but if you don't have time to finish it in class, I can give you more time to do it tomorrow. But we're reviewing for chapter 8 test tomorrow. Sure. Okay. So you've got these 3 problems on this page, and then this whole back page. That's your assignment for today. I'll have you turn in what you can, but if you have like a study hall next period, you can work on it next period. Or if you want to work on it at home tonight, you can work on it at home tonight, bring it back
It would be 5x. Right?
W squared plus 3W
Huh? It would be 5x, right?
Yeah.
It would be 6 and
Yeah, so it's hard to comment.
oh, and on the back.
Wait.
So this is checking the, there's a, he made an error.
So let's go back on the.
Is that the real problem?
This is what he's started with, and this was his answer.
So I
Yeah.
So I redo the math.
Yeah. So factor 5x out of this.
So that would be 10 and or that would
How do you know? What?
My factor 5.
You know, I'm
What I know.
That's good. Genuine?
And then x cubed. 5x greater than 5x.
It's either that or.
What's the difference between this answer? How?
I don't know.
There's not a 1x and there's not a 1.
No, yes, there's one answer. Oh, it's like 1.
So I just circled it for all of these.
These things down here, you gotta find the greatest common factor first.
So 7x.
What? Can I take 7 out of 2?
Yeah. So it's 3, 2, 1.
1. Yeah, or just x, right? And take x out. What would be left over? If I took x out. 2. And what would be left over if I took 7? Yeah.
Now it's just
Keep going.
Is it 1x again? Do I go to the highest one or the lowest?
The lowest one.
So 10.
Yeah, I remember how to find it on your calculator. Go math. There's a place in that. 9, 10, comma, 35, parentheses,
Oh,
comma, no, comma, 25. Enter.
Five?
Yeah.
So then I have to do the math?
Yeah.
So is it 5 and?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's, I know.
W squared plus 1 to 8 equals 60. Minus 60 minus 60 still. This part, we're going to end up with W squared plus 4W minus 60 equals 0. Now you can.
Do I have to put the number?
Not in front of the W, no.
Okay.
There's a factor pair page on the board. I'm going to hand back your papers from yesterday as well. And you can correct your mistakes on this one.
You know what I?
So you've got a number that you can factor out, but this has 4 W's and this has 4 Y's and this has 1 X. They don't do anything in common. It's just 12.
With who?
I know. Really, you know. I did that. What was it this morning that I put?
Don't mess with me like this, Isaac. I have 100 people on Twitch.
He wasn't.
I know you weren't here yesterday. And this.
I see. I see. No, it's fine. I got like 2 on
Yeah, you don't have much. But that's why I said in Google Classroom, there's all those contacts that we need to practice first. Yeah, before learning it. Okay?
Because I already did all this.
You're not playing ball.
You asked for
So the low score is not the best. The one on high school.
I plays golf too much.
He plays golf.
Yeah.
He's like right next to my set.
Yes. 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 What do you play? Yeah. Yeah. So then what does W have to equal?
What else? As far as, and.
Also W.
Ew, don't say that.
6.
Yes. Can you have a negative width? No. So which one is it going to be? Yeah. Width. And the length is 4 more than that. So what's 6 plus 4? Yep. There you go, you did it. Okay, try and move on to the next side. Don't worry about those two. Worry about the back. Now what are your factors? Yeah. There we go.
Not like that.
Hey,
He asked for it.
I know he asked for it.
I'm sorry.
He's been asking for it all day.
Oh. I'll take it.
Come on. We got plenty of work to do. Yeah, so we need to make this equal to 0. How do I get rid of
That's a problem.
Really? They just don't care. I don't have you do anything. You borrow $5 and then you borrow $5 more.
No, they would.
Maybe 12.
There's a one. See.
Like, your parents would have
Ah. That's funny.
Like that.
100%.
Miss Mars, I don't think I'm doing this.
Okay, chill out, bro.
Do we want to make that into factors? What's this and this going to be?
Oh.
So 2 of them, remember?
Why you think that's right? That's supposed to be W.
My bad, bro.
I'm just trying to help that.
Okay.
So this would be.
Now,
Bad dog.
Do you guys need help?
Yes.
You okay? Remember, look at the last number. Look at your factors.
Do I have to do the first one too?
Nope, you don't have to worry about the first one. It's always going to just be X and X. X and X.
Okay.
Yes. You have a negative width.
Mommy too?
No, so that one kind of doesn't matter. So then your width is just 6.
That's nice.
Yeah. So your width is 6, and then what's your length?
You punched me in the face with that. Everyone's got kids trying to hit me.
There's a fight.
Your mom.
I'm fine. I am perfectly fine. I'm scared for you all. And then that also makes me scared for me because I'm going to have half of you back in my class next year. Not looking at you. Yes. I wish I was in 4th grade. You didn't even do anything. So 6 times what would give you 6? Yeah. Look, does 1x plus 6x give you 7x? So that's it. That's it. For those ones, that's all you gotta do.
I'm passing like I'm getting 6 plus 1. What do you think?
Plus.
Which is
So look, you gotta get to a positive 6 there. Negative 6 times what would give you negative 6? So that would give me a negative 6.
Oh, it's a negative in it.
Yes. This times this gives you the area, and the area is 30. So do 3x plus 1. Put that in parentheses. And stick your x out in front. Equals, no, not equals, just x times. Ooh, my brother is little. Now, we gotta get this next one. Yep. So if you think you're going to work on this tonight or next period, you can take it with you. If not, just turn it in. The paper that I handed back from yesterday, you can make corrections to that and turn it back in. It was out of a total of 10. And if you have anything missing, you can turn that in. Please put calculators away, push your chairs in, make sure candy wrappers and monster bottles get put in the trash.
Miss Brad, tell her to put it
Jocelyn, put your calculator away.
Miss Mario's.
Yeah.
So with this one, we just change this 6 to this one that says
Yeah. How do you make 6 with 0? Yeah, you subtract 6 from both sides. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And now factor it. And this is where you tell me what x is. No. Factor like you did up here. Yeah. Good.
Do I have to have a number? No?
Nope, not until the x's.
Okay, Miss Mares, I shall return this. How about this bottom one?